Hello, everybody. Hey now, everybody. It is WNBA Finals time right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. This is Courtside with Christy and Gabe. I am Christy Winter-Scott, joined as always by my guy, Gabe Ibrahim. And Gabe, we got the ones and the twos. In the finals, best of 5 series. But I tell you what, it's going to be, I hope, a 5-game final series because that's the best. And we want the best for the finals of this great WNBA season.
I wish it was going 7, but 5 is fine. 7. But, we'll take 5. 5 is good. 5 is good. We're going to get to home game and all that. But yeah, it's October. It's crisp. It's
right?
Nice. We're finally get to the nice weather to act. Basketball season coming up. I have my coach polo because I had another polo that was creating an optical illusion that was very confusing in the camera. So the coach polo. If you're on YouTube, let me know what you think of the whole buttoned up look.
Oh yeah, look at Gabe all buttoned up.
I'm trying out different styles preseason. Now's the time to experiment.
Shock the world, Gabe. Break it out. Break out all your stuff.
We're in the postseason for the WNBA, and obviously the Aces and the Liberty. Game 1 is on Sunday at 3 p.m. on ABC. The Aces sweeping the Wings, which
great fight though.
Great fight. Especially in the and they pushed the Aces to the brink there in that game 3. But the Aces came out swinging at the end with an 11-0 run and then promptly put away any dissent. The Liberty went 4 games with the Sun before moving on past them to give us the finals that everyone, a lot of people wanted. I think this is the finals that is like the best for the league, though. These two are the first off, the most talked about teams, the most hyped teams, the most star-studded teams, the teams with the most players that like you Google with the faces of the league, and
crazy.
They're the 2 best teams in the league. So
they are.
I just think this should be. Everyone should just be so hyped for this.
Yeah, I mean, they were the top 2 teams all season long, and even with, Connecticut obviously giving a great fight in that 4-game series. Yeah. I mean, it's been really great basketball across the board in the league throughout this season, and when you have the super teams name hung on you in February or whatever, all these changes and all, Stu York and all this stuff is popping, and Candace Parker going to Vegas. And that's why that was a super team, because everyone's like, it's not a super team. It's the same as last year. But when it was named super team, that's when they had Raquan Williams and Candace Parker, and they were beating.
Well, and Alicia Clark had joined that.
And Clark. And they had, what did they have? A couple games out of the gates where they were winning by 30, and everybody was like, oh snap, with the healthy team with Vegas. And of course, Alicia, I didn't mean any harm by not mentioning her.
Oh yeah, just someone
being added to that squad. It was already, obviously the WNBA champions last year. So I mean, a lot has changed as the year has progressed, but one thing that has remained the same is that these 2 teams have battled it out. You saw the Commissioner's Cup going to New York, okay, and it didn't go in the overall record, but trust and believe, New York remembers that, but so does Vegas, okay? And that was, to me, a realization of how invaluable the presence of Jonquel Jones was. And before that, it was still, it was hit or miss in terms of the continuity and rhythm that Jonquel Jones had with her new team, right? A lot of moving parts. And Sandy Brondello was saying, hey, she just needs to, stay with it and get in a good game rhythm with what she brings. And what changed for her, Gabe, was her ability to get to the glass. And she said as much. And the second half of the season, after that Commissioner's Cup, after All-Star break, we saw a different New York team because of the change in Jonquel Jones in that Commissioner's Cup game where she was named MVP.
And why don't we just get? I have like some questions. I have like some little banners. So let's just get to my first one, because what you're talking about answers my first question, at least for me, is who is each team's X factor. I think, and it's crazy somewhat
Yeah.
to sit here and say that, Jonquel Jones is an X factor given everything she's accomplished, but Stewie still gets a lot of the attention in terms of defensive energy, the defensive focus. Jonquel somehow, and so Sabrina does as well. So Jonquel can kind of find her spots and actually play. I think in the way that, and you're saying when she found that rhythm in that second half of the year, she kind of figured out like, oh, I can just kind of play. I can roll when I want to, I can pop when I want to. And my guards and Breanna and Bianaja and Courtney are so good, they can get it to me. Or I can just rush the rim and get offensive rebounds, which she did a lot too.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I think for her, just like what she's going to bring the most, and you mentioned it as well, is that offensive rebounding. Because that's just such a huge area for New York in this series. I mean, you look at the 4 factors for each of the games in the regular season. That does not include the Commissioner's Cup. You look at the 4 factors, which one is effective field goal percentage. I've talked about this. The others are turnovers, offensive rebounds, and free throw rate. So free throws, offensive rebounds, turnovers, and field goals. All the ways that basketball possession can happen. So the team who won the field goal percentage battle was 3-1, which is what you'd expect. That's the most important category. Obviously, if you make more shots than the other team, you're going to win. The other 2, turnovers and free throws, teams were 2-2. For offensive rebounding, the teams actually ended up 3-1. Whoever won that category was 3-1 in the 4 games, and the one that was an outlier there was actually the first game when Candace Parker was playing. So it was a little different. So my point is, there's statistical evidence that offensive rebounding can be like a deciding issue here, and Jonquel Jones brings all that offensive rebounding. So she is the biggest X factor for me for New York.
And I hear you on that, but I think it's for me, and I love what Jonquel has done. And in that Commissioner's Cup game, clearly the difference maker. Clearly. No question about that. However, I'm going with the unsung hero or heroine. I'm going with Benajelani because listen, I don't think she gets enough love for what she does on the floor. And everyone's talking about, her offensive prowess. She's getting 20 and 19 in the series. And it was just consistently effective. And I love that, right? But then sometimes, and I always say this, right? When you're consistently excellent, sometimes it's like that's just what's expected of you, and you don't get the credit. And sometimes if you fly under the radar and you're scoring 6-8 points a game, and then you bust out and have a 20-point game, it's like, oh wow, she's really no. But when you stay the same, boom, 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 game after game, you kind of get lost in the sauce of the gratitude meter, and so for me, I'm going to go ahead and give a whole bouquet of flowers to Benajelani. And I think she's the X factor for New York. And yes, everyone else has to do their job. We're talking about former MVPs in Jonquel Jones. And this year, you had Stewie get it again. So Courtney Vandersloot has been in the mention of being MVP as well. So you have those players, and Sabrina, I mean, you have all these players with grandiose expectations of what they do. And even if they're not spot on with their shooting percentage, like just for example, which is fine because they're where they are now because of their collective unit, but they wouldn't be where they are without Laney. And Absolutely I will say that. And I can say that and I'm sure they probably say the same thing. So I'm not saying that as a shade, to any of the players or coaches or anything else, but give credit where credit is due, and credit needs to be pushed to Benajelani right here as the X factor for New York, because I don't think she's been given enough love, respect, and gratitude, and not from her own team, but I'm just saying like from the public in general. Like we're forgetting. And I think some people are kind of catching it because they're like, wait, Benajelani's picture needs to be up here. For doing everything that she did in that series. Like, hello. So I think there are some people who are realizing that she's the X factor for them too.
I will say this about the graphics, because I have to make graphics for the show. So do you just want to explain like the graphics
Yeah.
go towards your search engine optimization. And because we've created this world where Google is so important, I'm telling you, the only people that go into the graphic are the people who are getting Googled the most. And Benaja is there, but you'd have to look for like you have to like time it. And it's like, okay, if you're searching for like search terms in the last 2 months, she may not be at the top of the search box.
Wow.
I'm just saying that's how some people do it. That's why I don't get really mad at the graphics, because like I'm sure that's just someone being like, hey, who's the most Googled of these players? And I'm gonna tell you, it's Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu. Those would be the 4 that and no shock, all of them along with John Quell are in our graphic because
So can fans sway the analytics of that?
So if you Google Benaja a lot, and she's getting Googled a lot more now, so maybe in a few months, the people who making graphics, like maybe by the end of the finals, we're getting the graphic where it's Benaja in front because she's being Googled. I'm just saying I just want to give a quick defense of social media graphic designers. I understand.
Yeah, I was wondering, and I think other people were wondering too, because I was seeing that.
But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay. She's definitely undervalued in our world.
I think she is, and I love her. She gives the best hugs. Oh my God! But the fact that she has. I mean, she had an injury. She bumped teams. And then now she's found her home there in New York, and she is thriving in that system that Sandy Brondello has for their team and their personnel. And I think, she said it as well, that Lainey has been their X factor. I don't know if she used those words, but I mean, she has said and given her a lot of praise for her consistency this year. And that's all coaches want. Mm-hmm. Okay. Trust and believe. Like if consistency for you is 5 points and 5 rebounds and 3 assists, do it all the time. Like when I say consistency, I'm not talking about mind-blowing numbers, right? We don't need a gaudy stat line. If that's what you do that. Okay. But do your job, do it well, and do it consistently well. That's what coaches expect. And that's what they want. And coaches across the board are going to hold you accountable to being consistent in what you bring to the table. So, I mean, she's done that. And she definitely has to do it in this series for New York against Vegas.
And she's been that consistently. And then in the playoffs, she just kind of kicked it up a notch because, you know, just like logically, she is the player who's usually going to have the matchup. You know, the defense is going to be more geared towards stopping Sabrina. The defense can be more geared towards, you know, making it difficult for Courtney Vandersloot, for, you know, John Quell Jones, for Breanna Stewart. And we said this on the show, like it's crazy that she's the 5th best player on this team, but she is the 5th best player on this team. And she can just keep this team afloat when, you know, they're trying to figure out a defense, when they're trying to figure out how to get the ball to the spots they want. She'll just get the ball to wherever she wants and score from there. And, you know, the numbers have kicked up to the point where she's had at least 19 points in every game that the Liberty have won.
That's
so
what I'm
she had 3 points in the loss, but like otherwise she's averaging a shade over 20 points. 2 games of 19 points, 2 games of 20 points, a game of 21 points. And it's just that consistency of doing what she does and then having more opportunity, because in the playoffs, teams, you know, are waiting on those other players and they're giving you more of that chance. They're choosing her as the poison and she's killing them. So I think it's a great X Factor pick. I mean,
I mean, you know, absolutely. And I agree with that. But I watch a lot of basketball shows, you know, NBA and WNBA, and a lot of talk is about the others. And I don't buy into that word. I don't know why. And I'm not mad when you say it, but I don't like that. Right? Because it's not the others. When you're a unified squad, they don't see it like that.
Did I say the others?
No, I don't think, like if we're on a team, we're both on the same team and we're playing, like, and you're scoring 30 a game and I'm scoring like 5, would you consider me an other?
Yes.
No,
I mean, come on. You know you have your all right. Come on, Christy. You know you have
man.
your all district players. You have your all district, all world, all region, all whatever players. The point of basketball. I want to give kids the wrong impression. The point of basketball is put the ball in the basket. If you do that a lot more than everyone else,
I don't like that.
Christy, you were the.
I'm not an other. And okay,
you were never an other because you're too good. That's what I'm saying. How would you know? How would you know? You've always been the best player on the team.
No, but I didn't consider my teammates others. Like
no,
we
you weren't.
No.
Not as your teammate. As your coach, absolutely.
I don't like. Is there another word we can use? I just feel like we're just like other. It's like, you know, I think it's dismissive. I think it's dismissive to their overall impactful role that they bring to the table. So I'm not. We have these guys and then the others. Like it's like so dismissive.
I don't know. That's how I. That's
and you dismissed me when I got painted into that. I didn't appreciate that.
Well,
you dismissed me
because I did not dismiss you. I was telling you you're the best player on the team. How could you know what the others are? You've never been an other.
I know, but I see what you're saying.
No,
but
I'm not. But look, as a teammate, absolutely.
Others.
As a teammate, absolutely.
Yeah,
and maybe we could use it. I didn't even know I used that word. It's just like a term. But like, yeah, as a coach, like, yeah, and when we're scouting, it's like, okay, you know, this kid is like giving it to him. He has like 30 points. These other kids are not. They're shooting at random times. It's just like an easy way to delineate what our defense is going to be focused on.
I hear you.
You say, hey, 20, 30 for the Liberty, which is Breanna Stewart.
Yeah.
And 21. Those two are the players. And then you gotta kind of give the others the role players. I don't like role. I think role players.
Everybody's a role player.
The role player is worse. It's like
everybody's a role player.
That's what I'm saying.
Even like your 30-point a game player, that's their role.
Does non-stars? Does that sound better? I feel like
worse.
That's worse, right?
The stars and the non-stars. Wow, it's like getting worse and worse. No, they're all great. Like they're all.
That's the point.
They're all great. They're all stars in their role. Period. And we have to come up with something that's not dismissive or belittling to the people who don't score the gaudy numbers. What is that? And we need to ask people out in the verse. The internet.
There's probably a better. I don't know. The others. I didn't even know I said that. I was not trying to be dismissive.
No. When I said if you scored, if we were teammates and you scored 30 a game and I scored 5, would I be an other? And you were like, yeah. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But come on, Chris. Come on. From like an analyst coach perspective, as a teammate, no. As a teammate, everyone is like,
yeah,
we're all equal.
But how does that sound though? When you hear that, like in our locker room, we're like this hand to hand. Like
we're not in the locker room.
We're tight, right? But then mentally we're like this. Like I'm not listening. Like I don't hear that. But then I hear these guys and then these other people. Like is that going to divide the team mentally? Like,
well, you don't say it in the locker room as for your own team, but you know it.
Yeah.
Every coach in America, if you got them true serum and you ask them who are your stars and who are your others, they can have it like that. They can have it like that. And if they can't, they're not that good of a team.
That's true. But it doesn't mean I have to like it. Like I get it. I get a lot of things that I don't like.
The other players on the Liberty who are not getting as much defensive attention. Of those players, I would say John Quell and Bonaccio. Yeah. But I don't know who's gonna get the most defensive attention. Yeah. Maybe we should flip over. To the other side, and we could talk a little bit about their defensive attention.
Yeah.
The Aces, I think. Yeah. Their defense has been playing extremely good basketball in these playoffs. I think they've been all over it. Yeah. Great communication. And just Asia cleaning up everything at the rim. That's been their MO all season. I think they've really gotten into that.
Yes.
But this is a team they've struggled with, right? We've seen them,
Yes.
kind of get worked a little bit. They got worked.
Matchups, honey.
So for the Aces, in order to not get worked, who's the X factor?
Who? I mean, the easy answer is the sixth player in the league, right? With AC, Alicia Clark being the X factor. But I think it's her.
Okay.
I think it's got to be her. I think she's got to, she's got to knock down those paint threes from Gray, those no looks and rim runs, where they're out on the move. I think pace is going to be huge for the Aces to turn New York over and get in gaps and get downhill in the open floor. And I when I'm saying all these things, I'm thinking Clark, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking Clark is the recipient of a lot of those because she'll bust out and get some easy rim runs and finishes, just because of the pace of play, but also because of her defense, right? If she doesn't finish it, she's going to start it with getting a deflection, or a board, right? She's going to outwork you on the glass. She's going to get pace for the team. If she's not the recipient at the end of it, she's going to be the reason they have the ball at the beginning of it. She just brings that energy. She has an incredible motor in that way. So it's the easy answer, right? Because of the award that she earned this year as sixth player of the year. But I'm going to go with her. I'm going to go with AC. What do you have?
No, so I want to talk a little bit more about AC. I have a little different. Although that's probably you are correct. I think you're right because like X factor, someone off the bench is a great definition of an X factor. We didn't really define an X factor.
No, but like impact, like without like take one of those non graphic people, off the list to choose from, and then who else would come in and make a difference?
You choose from the others
and
the other players on the team.
Gabe. Okay, look, but you have to see I always try to say this, like, okay, we know what it is with them. Like, if you don't have Clark, how bad would that hurt the team? And so if you don't have Laney, how bad would that hurt the team? So for me, you need both of those guys. Those are your X factors respectively. And so that's how I do it. I kind of do like reverse psychology on it. Like, if you miss them, how much of an impact would that make without them on the floor? So I think that's the answer for me.
So let me ask you this about Alicia being on the floor. So she's been coming in for Kia Stokes at the four, playing the four, which she's really good at, and she's a former post player, has that pedigree. That becomes a little bit more complicated when you're talking about a team that has Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart. Now, AC, very familiar with Breanna Stewart. I can't imagine the amount of like training camp, practice, just post battles those two would have when they were teammates in Seattle. Let's say Alicia stays coming in for Kia Stokes.
Okay.
Do you kind of just trust her on Stewart? And the other question would be is like, do you change up your rotations to say, okay, Alicia, you're not going to just play. It's not a 1-for-1 switch with you and Stokes. Like, you're coming in for Young sometimes, you're coming in for Plum sometimes, and you're going to play the 3 and the 4 rather than just playing the 4 to avoid kind of putting her, in a bad position. I think both offensively and defensively. But it could be a good position because she could just cover Breanna Stewart, and now we have a problem with like Asia Wills. I don't know. Could you help me out there?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I think that the beauty of Alicia Clark's game is her versatility, right? Is her ability to play different players, and I think with the size that New York has and their ability to get to glass, so we were talking about that as being one of the 4 components, the offensive boards. Like, you don't want to give New York second and third opportunities. What'd you say, Hank?
I said 4 factors.
4 factors. Like, and that's one of them. You got to get bodies out of there. And she does a great job boxing out. Like, she maintains her contact. I wouldn't be surprised if they went big lineup, right? And ran Clark at the 3 a lot in this series because of that, right? I think that Clark can guard anybody. on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're switching or if they junk it up, like Becky Hammond said, we had to change some things defensively, junked it up a little bit, some boxing one, triangle two. I had to, throw basically the kitchen sink out there defensively. So I think with Clark on the floor, that really opens things up, and it really gives you more options and opportunities to try new things that you haven't practiced. And Becky Hammond said it as well, and we always talked about that too, right? Sometimes you just gotta, this is what we have to do, and just execute it, and they did that. That's why they've advanced. But I think that when you have a player like Clark who can bump off, switch off, and guard people straight up, right? I think it's going to be something that we may see a lot of in this series, is Vegas going big and having Clark at the wing.
And to me, that also makes them a better matchup for New York defensively, because they can bring physicality. And New York hasn't struggled a ton in the playoffs. Not like a ton offensively, but they haven't been the same motor that they were, I think, in the regular season, because of all the physicality that Connecticut brings and that Washington brings. So if you can replicate that physicality as much as possible, which I think putting Clark on the wing would help you do, then you're gonna have a good advantage there. And that brings me to my X factor, which I would say, to me, the X factor is someone who swings. Like, okay, if they play well within their reasonable range of outcomes, that could swing the game or the series towards her team. If she plays poorly within her, expected range of outcomes, then that could sink her team's chances, or at least change what they have to do to win. And for me, that's Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum is she's not she's not a six woman, which it's really good. You got Clark, which is a good one. But she is just a player who's gone up and down a little bit against New York. You see her point totals, her shooting, it's gone a little bit up and down. Now in these playoffs, she has been shooting the lights out of the ball.
Right.
So you can kind of expect that to continue, but it's not an easy matchup for her on either end. For Kelsey Plum against New York, Courtney Vandersloot can stick with her. If Sabrina's on her, that's a bigger guard.
Right.
On the defensive end for her, it's like she has to match up with one of those three. And, you kind of want someone a little bit more disruptive on Sloot, someone a little taller and more able to get around screens for Sabrina. And you want someone bigger for Lainey, because Lainey's going to push you up if she has the opportunity to. So then that becomes just like a problem for Kelsey Plum defensively. So she has to do more on offense. And I don't know. I mean, I think she gets a lot of what she does out of transition. She's a transition killer. And, and we could talk about this again as New York's offensive rebounding. If that offensive rebounding continues, it takes some of the bite of that out of that transition. That's one of the things Vegas has really struggled with, right? It's like, if a team is getting a lot of offensive boards, that's going to make you have to crash the defensive glass a little harder, which means you're not sending as many people back on the break. So that's how it diminishes your transition offense. So for Kelsey, she has a leash on her a little bit, just because if that offensive rebounding is there for New York, she can't get out in transition as much. So she's gonna have to find ways to score. She can find ways to score which are within the offense and without touching the ball as much, because they're going to put the ball in Chelsea Gray's hands, the finals MVP. So now it's like her role just becomes very complicated, and just kind of walk a tightrope of playing, excellent defense, which she's totally capable of. And I didn't mean that little ramp at the beginning. She's just not as good a defender as some of the other people like Alicia Clark on the Aces. So she has to play really, really well defensively and pretty well offensively when she has bad matchups on defense, and she has a different role on offense than maybe what she's used to. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Aces come up with to get her opportunities to score and how to use her defensively. But I think she's the player that, hey, if she has a really, really good series, I don't think there's any way that Vegas loses. If she has a very poor series, I think it's going to be hard for Vegas to win.
Interesting. No, I agree with that. I mean, she has been shooting the leather off the ball in the playoffs for sure. But yeah, I think it all comes down to matchups in the playoffs that we're kind of alluding to. And these two teams, like, they met up obviously during the regular season and then in the Commissioner's Cup, of course. But in those games, it's like I almost want to like look at the stats, of Plum. in those
Oh, I
games. Can you peek at the
Yeah, I
Commissioner's
got it.
Cup game?
I was looking at that today.
Ah.
The Commissioner's Cup game is not there, but I think I have that somewhere.
Why? Oh, I know it wasn't regular season stats, but
It's
the
like
Commissioner had the box score of it.
Yeah, no, it exists. Like I have the box score of it. They just don't have like any of the video. They don't have any of it put into into like the other you know, games. Like it's not in the
It's
search
not on that
stuff.
list. Oh, that's killer. But I'm just wondering, right? Like when those two teams were matched up and they met each other, like what?
No, here actually no. I have the stats. Sorry, I should have said this one. Actually, I know it.
Bring it home.
So 2 wins, 2 losses for Las Vegas. Well, actually, two wins, 3 losses because of the Commissioner's Cup.
Yeah, Commissioner's.
And we do count the Commissioner's Cup here because
we do count.
Let me see.
They played.
Let me see if my assumption's still correct. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, let's go back in time to June 29th. So Candace Parker is healthy at this point. Kelsey Plum, 7 of 12 from the field, 18 points, 58% from the field. Second game, 4 of 16, 25% from the field, 12 points. Loss for Las Vegas. So next game, 7 of 14, 50% from the field, 18 points. Las Vegas win. Commissioner's Cup, 4 of 11 from the field, 36% shooting percentage from the field, and a Vegas loss. And then the last one, a Vegas loss, 4 of 14 from the field, 28% from the field, 9 points. So keeping track at home, all of the losses came when she was shooting worse than 50% from the field.
Yes.
And all the wins came when she was shooting better than 50% from the field.
Talk that talk. Because that's it. That's it. That tells the story, right? I mean, now, okay, since you have it right there, and this is her hoops.
I've been doing this. I've been doing this for like the last 3 days straight of like, oh, what's it? And it's like, oh, I have the offensive rebound. So there's a million stats and none of them tell us the whole story. You just kind of got to watch it. And I'll tell you, and you can see the stats and they help you. They also confuse things like the best, it's just, you gotta have, and you have good feel for this. But the stats are instructive for me.
It's what?
The stats are like instructive. So like,
listen, that tells the story. I don't care. Like if I'm scouting or when I was coaching, I would look at their stats. Like that tells the story. It analytically breaks down the strengths and weaknesses of each person, right? And you want to take all their strengths away, obviously. Anyway, but look at Laney's numbers. Can we see Laney's numbers
in those games against Vegas?
Yeah, just because I want to have fun with that.
I believe she was different. It was not quite as like
not as drastic as Plum's.
Yeah, not like Plum was like, if she played well, they won. If she did it, they lost.
Yeah, 58.
So here, she played. She played really well in all of these games, except for the first one.
Never mind then.
First game where Candace Parker is there, which is a big time rim protector, which doesn't shock me that Laney struggled then.
Okay,
just 3 points in that game, but in the games since August, we have 13 points, 17 points each game. Better shooting 50% or better from the field. In the Commissioner's Cup, which she do. Commissioner's Cup, she was 0 for 5 from the field, but had 5 rebounds.
That's because John Quell got loose. That's why.
John Quell
they didn't need for her. They didn't need for her to do that in that game, I guess.
So Laney is also someone who is. Maybe she's so consistent though. It's hard to like. You're not gonna find those trends. That's why I like someone like Plum because it's like Plum is like
Yeah.
And also so the other thing with Plum
she's
that like
I love her.
And there's a bunch of players like this, but for me, Plum is like if the offense is going well and things are going the way that Las Vegas wants it to go, she's usually scoring. She's out there, and because of everything I just mentioned, like she's out there to score. So if things are going well for Vegas, that means Plum is on the break, getting an open shot or getting an open layup, or she's coming off a pin down and she's wide open because of the attention to there. So she's just kind of an indicator of like how good that offense is doing, rather than someone like Lainey, who, you praise for all her consistency, and it's true. But, regardless of where the team is, Lainey's here, right?
Yeah.
Here. There we go. That's better.
She's
She's
smooth.
like a little duck on the pond.
She's smooth, baby. Yeah. Yeah. She's a toughie. I mean, I get it. But I don't know. I just got like caught up in the stats and the numbers. But with Plum, I can definitely see that. And she, and again, it's about those matchups, like defensively. What's New York going to do differently? Like, what are the wrinkles that they're going to put in, excuse me, to be disruptive? And sometimes, since you've played 5 times, right? It's more than, I mean, obviously, your personnel. That's a wash. But collectively, as a unit, are you going to tactically kind of stay with the same thing? Or are you going to, you have a whole week,
yeah,
right? Before the game, or right in the middle of that, you have a whole week to structure maybe something that's unpredictable, right? That something that's you haven't shown in any of those 5 games, whether it be offensively or defensively. Now I told you I pulled out that out of bounds under. They hadn't shown it at all, but we practiced it in our 5-on-0 sets, running through everything. Hey, run that one play. And then we ran it in the playoffs and got an and one on it, and no one had seen it. So there are things that you've been rehearsing and practicing, and you keep it in that pocket. And then your team is prepared because you've done it every day in 5-on-0 and situations and whatever. And now here are the finals. Do you trust your team in these moments to pull something new and say, let's do this? Or do you stay with what you've been doing and keep it moving?
I mean, you definitely have new plays, right? You got a whole week.
Do you?
Well, you have them.
Do you trust your team to execute them if you haven't really done it in game? And here we're in the finals, and you have a whole week. Yeah. I mean, it's very tempting. I'm just thinking, like, as a coach, like, we've played them 5 times. Like, we got to come with a couple of,
well, if you're a New Yorker,
a couple of secrets in the pocket and pull it out the back pocket. And
I think probably New York's a little bit more comfortable to say, hey, we can just, if I'm New York, I'm like, hey, we'll just run the same things, because everything we run, most of what New York runs, honestly, is out of reads. So it's like not, True. You just get, it's just changing with how their defense changes.
Yes.
And they have the players to do that. So I think for New York, I don't even know if you need new stuff, but you can trust. I think you can totally trust Courtney Vandersloot to direct it if it goes wrong. Mm-hmm. For Vegas, I mean, these players have been together for so long that and I'll trust Alicia Clark with anything, in any point. She could, like, if she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the president," I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." So like, I trust her. I trust her running a play. Same. But I think and also I did want to. There's a really cool play that I picked up what the play call was. And you can read about it on Ball and Order, but I'll just tell you guys now. Becky's running a play, and they may have done this during the regular season. I don't remember it though. It's called South Carolina.
I love that.
Right? It was okay. So it's inbound. I think she inbounds it. Asia inbounds it, or I think Asia inbounds it, or Chelsea Gray inbounds it. I don't remember. But somehow we get Asia down in the short corner, coming back up around the zoom, a little a screen followed by a handoff.
Yes.
From Kelsey Plum, and she just goes right to the rim and curls right off it. And goes. She can go left. She can go right. It was, and the one I saw was right. Yeah. So South Carolina.
I heard her say that because she was mic'd up, and she was like, "South Carolina." I was like, "Oh, she got
it's a play for Asia."
Dawn Staley. It's a Dawn.
Or that. Yeah. I was kind of thinking she probably did just take it from what Dawn did with Asia.
Get her to her left hand. It was like the dribble handoff, but she popped out to the short corner, and then got a DHO and got downhill to her strong left hand. On the one I saw. The one I saw.
She had multiple. There was multiple because they ran it like 2 or 3 times straight against Dallas. Yeah. But I think I'd seen that before in another game. But
I was like, I love that play. I was like, wow, I just set her right up.
Well, and now watch, because that's going to be on tape, and now they're going to be yelling, South Carolina, and Chelsea Gray is just going to slip to the rim, and it's going to be
blow it up. Right.
Yeah.
They can blow it up now, but yeah, but that was really, I was like, oh wow. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. But I think, Asia
I got
Wilson,
off track.
she's
What
just
was I
different.
gonna say?
No, you were talking about whether or not to, and I'm not saying just throw
Oh
everything
yeah.
what you were doing away, but I'm saying do you, but add some little seasonings on it too. Like, don't just come regular. You gotta come with sprinkles and some more glitter. Like, you gotta have a couple, and not like 10 new things, right? Two or three, and maybe have the play look the same, but have different options out of it that are a little bit different,
Yeah.
that are a bit unpredictable. So they can't blow up actions, right? Because they're expecting certain things from you. So maybe have something set up in whatever offensive scheme that you had planned and you have been running well all season. I mean, these top 2 teams in the league for a reason. Okay. They've been executing, but you got to throw some little extra, make a read like, hey, if this one comes up, I'm going to rise and lift that and maybe set a back screen instead and get something different out of it. So I think you've got to stay unpredictable, and it is about matchups, but it's also about playing chess, not checkers right now. And you got to be smarter. You got to be a step ahead. You got to be ready to expect that from your opponent, right? This looks like this play they've been running all year, but now they're doing something different out of it. So you have to be on awareness and on alert mode when you're playing against these teams that you are so familiar with. But you got to be able to counter some things as well.
So I think whatever. How about this? I'll give you a wrinkle. First wrinkle.
A wrinkle.
my opening after the timeout. So our first play of the series.
Okay.
For whichever team. I'm not sure who would actually pull us off.
Okay.
But like, just do whatever you normally do, and someone runs back door, because in the finals that everyone's gonna be so keyed up, and that if I'm guessing one of these coaches can be like, hey, we're denying these cuts, we're making everything difficult.
Right.
You have to push her off her spots, whatever. So they're just gonna be keyed up, ready to hit somebody, and then you just pull out a back door and it's an easy cut to the basket for a layup. So that's one of the teams will run something like that. A back cut, maybe a back screen off, like we have the staggered pin down, maybe across the back screen for a little layup or like a flex screen.
Hit them.
That'll be my wrinkle right there.
I like that.
Whatever our play is. But
I like
have to
that.
see with defense.
Because back screens are the worst, because most times you're that last line of defense anyway, and there's nobody really to call it out for you, because everyone's kind of occupied, especially when someone sneaks up on you. Side. Huh?
Someone sneaks up on you from a help.
Yeah,
that's it.
You get hammered, man. That's the worst.
That's the lesson. If you want to hit somebody in basketball, you wait for your defender to help, and then you go set a back screen. So there's no one talking there.
Nobody talking, and you get laid out. Yeah. Well, I love setting a good screen, honey. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, we had a little pickup game last week. Yeah, with the media for the Wizards.
I heard about this. I wasn't in town.
Oh yeah. Well, what did you hear?
Well, I heard that it happened.
Oh, okay. That's all. We're gonna leave it. It did happen.
Oh, I want to hear about who played.
I was running, but I wasn't playing very well. But it was fun. But anyway, I had a little bruise on my arm because I was setting some hammer screens, and I loved it. Everyone thought I was all finesse and all. Oh, look at her.
The sharp elbows.
No, I'm playing into on some screens, and I loved it. That was like the highlight. Like I was like fired up for 3 days after that because it was so good. Anyway, back screens are the worst, but you can always catch somebody sleeping, right? They got their head on a swivel, and you just nail. That's the best feeling. I don't care. Like anyway, I miss playing.
I did it to one of my players the other day. It was a lot of fun.
See,
that's how you get back. You want someone to listen to you. Set a back screen on them.
Bop.
Let's talk about Asia and Stewie really quick.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't want to preview this matchup so much because, like, what can we say about this matchup that hasn't been said about like Niagara Falls or the Grand Canyon or something like this is awesome. We don't have to talk about it. What it is. We know what it is. I do want to point out that this is the third time that these two have met in a playoff series. Do you remember?
Yes. Wasn't it Seattle beat them in the finals, right?
Seattle beat them in the finals, in the bubble finals.
The bubble finals, yes. Bubble.
And then last year's semifinals.
Semis.
Before that bubble finals, do you remember what happened? Well, other than like,
Gabe.
Other than COVID.
It's all I can't remember before COVID. It's like, it's a wash. Like
during the bubble finals, Asia won the MVP and then came back and got swept.
Oh yeah.
By Seattle.
That was her first.
And
Yeah.
Breanna Stewart.
Well, her only right now, but yeah. Right.
And now, Stewie just won the MVP.
Here we go.
We have a defending champion in the Vegas Aces. Although Seattle wasn't defending, but they were defending because Breanna Stewart hadn't played. So it was like the first series. So we can count them as defending just for the purposes of this story. So we have defending champ going up against the MVP. A lot of energy.
Yes.
Bad, good feelings.
It's a good word.
Feelings abound.
Yeah.
Lots of emotions and feelings are around.
Love that happening.
How do you think, if you're Asia, or from both perspectives, how you come into this game, the series, like thinking about this matchup?
Listen, if I'm Asia, I'm gonna put myself in both shoes. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
If I'm Asia, I'm gonna be playing with so many chips on both shoulders, man. And I'm gonna come out there and be so locked in. And I'm going to prove that they got it wrong. Okay, and that's all I'm saying. And that's how
Absolutely.
I'm saying it. I'm Asia right now, so don't at me and yell at me. Listen, I'm Asia right now, and that's how I would come into this series. Like, you got that wrong. I'm her. I'm top tier. I do it on both sides. I am a two-way. I'm a block shots, defensive player of the year. I'm gonna come at you. It's gonna be nothing easy, and I'm gonna be relentless. Okay, and I'm gonna be so tough to stop, and you're not gonna get by me. Okay, so I think there's gonna be a tremendous amount of pride,
extra motivation.
Oh, just incentive on 1,000. Yeah. On 1,000. I love it. And I also know that she was so upset during the day when she found out that she didn't earn it. And Dawn Staley had spoken with her and everything. And she was asked about it. She said, hey, I can't control that. But what I can control is the way I hoop. Okay. And bring that. And that's what she's going to do. Listen, that's what she's going to do. She's going to flat out hoop. She's going to flat out prove it to herself and not others. Okay. Which is the best anyway, when you prove it to yourself. But for Stewie, Gabe, if I'm Stewie, I'm walking in there like I'm Stu York.
Been here, done this.
Been here, done it, got 2 rings. That's one more than Vegas, right? I'm true to this, not new to it. This is why I came back home. Came back home to win a ring at home, like Candace did in Chicago, like LeBron did in Cleveland. Like, let's not get it twisted. Here, this is my turn. So she's gonna have a ton of pride in that way. And they named me MVP for a reason, and I'm gonna show and prove. So she's got that, right? She's got that. I'm at the top. I got jacket. I'm in it. This is me. And then you have Asia, who is she's been up there too. She's been MVP. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot of pride on the line, and I love it. It's going to be fire on both sides, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'm trying.
A thought popped into my head because I agree with you. It is gonna. It's. There's a certain. I love this extra motivation. This is like this series has happened a few times. Both in WNBA and in the NBA.
Yes.
Now I think this is the first time though that there's 2 players that have won multiple MVPs.
Okay.
In the same final series, am I wrong?
In the same final series, you said?
Maybe.
Probably so. Yeah, I'm sure.
Regardless,
off the top of my head, know it off names.
That's a stat that's going to take too long to look for. Regardless, my question was going to be, is this the best team that Breanna Stewart has ever played on?
Oh, you asked a really good one.
I've been thinking about it. It's tough.
Wow. Natasha Howard, Sue Bird, Jewel Lloyd. Yeah, I think that's a really great question headed into this series. And I think we need to put it out to the people. We need to put that out as a vote. You got to put that on her Hoop Stats socials and see what happens. Gosh. And then Clark too was in Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah.
They won 2 rings, man.
It's a really good team. I think
it's Seattle. Am I wrong for saying that?
Well, so here's the thing. Is like they didn't have
that's tough.
Courtney Vandersloot is not as good as as good of a career as Sue Bird, but like it's up there. Sabrina Ionescu, I think, is certainly going to continue her trajectory. Then you have Jonquel Jones, who's won MVP.
God, Jonquel.
And there has not been there hasn't been an MVP with Stewie before.
With Stewie.
Right? I'm not messing. No, there's no overlap with Lauren Jackson.
No,
that didn't happen.
No.
Right. Yeah.
But
so
Sue Bird could have been MVP. Like I
don't think she was.
No, she wasn't. But I mean,
I get what you're
have been considered in that cloth.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, 5 gold medals. I mean, she's doing something right out here.
Yeah. No, she's.
I don't know. I know we haven't seen the full maturation of Sabrina, in these moments. But I think I'm going to have to lean towards Seattle by a skosh. I'm going to go Seattle by a skosh. I think Seattle was. Oh my God. That's so hard. That's a great question though. But I'm going to go with Seattle. And Sue played for so long, and I get that. And we don't know what Sabrina's going to look like, in 20 years or whatever. And I know she's going to play that long. But how many rings will she have by then? I don't know. So it's hard to answer that. But I am going to answer it. Look at me answering, because I never.
I know you answered without a prompt. That was great.
I'm going Seattle.
All right, so
but
Seattle,
this New York team is right there, man. I'm going 51-49 on that thing. 51-49.
I gotta write it out.
Halvesies, because woo-wee.
So the starting lineup we're talking about for Seattle is Bird, Jewel Lloyd. Gosh, she's been on some good teams. Bird, Jewel Lloyd, Alicia Clark.
Yeah. Natasha
Howard, Breanna Stewart.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Dang, man.
It's a good basketball team.
It's pretty darn good, dude. That's a pretty tough squad.
Salute, Ionescu, Laney. Stewart is the 4 here. And Jones.
Jonquel.
Salute, Ionescu, Laney, Stewart, Jones.
That's tough. I don't know.
I think I'm gonna go New York just because, like,
really,
if you look at these two, all right, let's take Breanna Stewart out of this. Who's the second best player on this list in the time that they were playing with Sloot? So we don't get prime Bird. I mean, we do get prime Lloyd though, and maybe Jewel Lloyd better than Jonquel.
I mean, Jewel is flat out a dog, and she led the league in scoring.
And it's not like she's not an MVP caliber.
No, she's a flat out dog. Gold Mamba. I can't. That's Seattle. What say you, people? I'm going Seattle.
Yeah, we'll put it up. I'll clip this somehow.
I think that'll be so good.
Because like this, I just thought I had this random thought earlier today. I was like, like, is this his best Stewie team? And then I got distracted. Look at offensive rebound numbers. But like,
no, that's a great question, and I think that's really good. Throw that out there. I think people would love that, and I think you'll get. I bet you, if you put votes out, like which team, like put the 5 names. I bet it'll be 51-49%. 51-49.
Well, until one of the fan bases is going to get like Seattle. The Seattle Storm fans have nothing to do with it. No offense, Seattle Storm fans. I saw Ezzy play in EuroLeague. I was watching on my phone. It was hard to tell. I think she had a great basket, or is Christina Nigue because they kind of look the same from like the hair perspective. They both have the same hair. But no, it wasn't Christina Nigue. She's on a different team. So no, I'm pretty sure it was Ezzy. If it's possible someone looks like Ezzy with the little pixelated phone. But I saw Ezzy do something good. So I'm not making fun of you, Seattle Storm fans. But it's probably gonna be them who take over the poll.
The beehive. They're gonna beehive it out.
They got nothing better to do. What are they doing?
Well, they didn't make the playoffs.
We have a week off.
They'll make it again soon. Yeah, a whole week. And then it's like 3 days in between. It's Sunday, Wednesday.
I know.
Yeah. But the anticipation is going to be like, I like that. wait.
I hate it.
A little bit. Not too long.
We should play. If it was up to me, we'd play all 7 finals games on the same day. AAU tournament.
Yeah. Oh,
three on the first day, 4 on the next day. You gotta win. You gotta win game 6 to get to the 4th one.
And then everybody's dragging their butts in game 6. Trying to move like me in that scrimmage last week. Anyway, I digress.
I got some tickets. Do you want to pick an MVP?
Oh, wow. Yes. And I was just kind of talking about it today. I'm going to go with Chelsea Gray being the MVP. And I'm even, look at me being all extra bold.
This is amazing.
Oh my God. Look, this is so different. But I'm here for it. Look, Chelsea Gray, MVP, game 5, overtime, buzzer beating 3 balls
in the air.
Ball in the air, and they win by 1. Fader from 3, cashing out, boop, and hit one of those dramatic, step back triples to win it, and then everyone like runs and crushes into her. And if that happens, what do I win?
You say it for every series, though.
A Starbucks, maybe a Starbucks, gift card or something like that.
You say it for every series, though. We gotta do. When we have to do this is when we do our brackets. Just say it for every single game. This one's gonna end in a buzzer beater with the ball in the air. Because one of them you're gonna be right.
I know. I keep putting it out in the atmosphere. I think it's because I want that to happen. So, but I want the dramatic, like crazy ending.
So wait, I guess wait, we're also picking who's gonna win because we're not gonna give the MVP to a player on the losing team.
No, that can't happen.
So you got Vegas winning in 5 games on the buzzer beater by Chelsea Gray. Interesting. I got the lib.
Do that, but I'm doing it.
I got the libs
pushed in. What do you have?
I have the Liberty. I'm going 5 games as well. Although when I say 5 games now, I think about it's like really difficult to win deciding game 5 in the other team's house. But I'll stick with the Liberty in 5 games.
By how many?
I don't think it comes down to a buzzer beater. I think there's some big late shot, but there's free throws afterwards.
Free throws. That's even worse.
Free throws are the worst.
Free throws are worse. I've been there, done that.
They're getting rid of the bonus. I mean, I'm sorry, they're getting rid of the 1-and-1.
Oh yeah.
Hate it. Back to the current series. I was just stalling because I don't have an MVP pick. I don't know. I think it's gonna be Jonquel if they win.
I mean, she was her in the Commissioner's Cup. She was MVP.
It's just that I just think like if they win, it'll be because Jonquel has been dominant.
I can see that.
That's why I think New York. If Vegas wins, though, I think I'm on the Chelsea Gray train as well.
I'm on the Chelsea Gray train.
Sneaky pick here is Jackie Young, because Jackie Young, she's very consistent. She kind of is like she kind of has that Benaja Laney thing where right on. And she has been consistent against New York.
She has. Jackie Young.
So that may be my pick for New York, but I mean for Vegas, sorry. But I do think it's Chelsea Gray at the end of it because it's Chelsea Gray, right? Like
Chelsea Gray, man.
I've seen this movie before.
Man, she's gonna tell you too. She's gonna do it, and she's gonna go like. She's going.
That is the scariest player to see.
Hey, look. Hey, listen. I don't know. I think it's going to be a great series. Mm-hmm. I love the dynamics of, both coaches playing the league. I know Sandy Brondello coached Becky Hammond, right? when she was in the league.
And played against.
They played against each other. Man, it's like a movie, right? The whole thing is a movie. This is terrific. I just think I want great basketball. We've seen it all season. We got the one in the tube and kind of eyeballing it since February when these two teams kind of formed together. And we're like, oh man, everybody's like, oh, is that going to be the finals? Well, here we are. And you got what you manifested back in February.
Thank you, basketball, for everything.
Here we are. But then now we've manifested two different endings here. So we'll see what the atmosphere picks up from us.
It'll matter much more what the players manifest.
That's true too. You better preach. Look at you.
That's who's manifesting. I remember, this is unrelated, but I went to Catholic school, and so like before the test, you'd pray sometimes. I just remember, I'll never forget this. One of my teachers, Mrs. Ramos, she goes, "It doesn't help if you pray now and you didn't pray while you were studying, because that's when you needed help. You can't have help now. The test is here. The help's not coming. The help was before.
The help.
You better have been praying last night."
You're right. Oh, she was right on, honey. Oh my God.
I've never forgotten that. That was in 6th grade.
Oh my God. That's a gem.
We should talk a little bit about expansion. Just a little bit.
Oh yes. Let's do that.
All right. I'm writing it down. What I want to say. Oh, here's what I want to say.
A lot of flirting with that right now.
I think we're more than flirting. I think we're in like a full secret Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift relationship. Where it's like, oh, we're trying to keep it secret, but like we're at the football games together and all that. Shouts now and forever for Taylor for putting Travis Kelce on the map, because no one knew who it was. That's a joke on social media. I don't know.
I know that. It's really funny.
I'm a fan of it because I love Taylor Swift. Dude, I mean, she's doing something for him.
Wait. Really quick on Taylor Swift, while you're looking at it'll take 15 seconds max. But the whole Taylor Swift thing, I love it because all these little girls and young women are watching football, not the football, not the players. They see women in leadership roles on these sidelines. Get into it. I'm like, let's watch that too. Okay. Let's see how many times we show Taylor Swift in the suite. But also, let's see all the women who have the headsets on, who are coaching these guys on the field up. Let's do that, okay? So I love the fact that Taylor Swift is there, because now you have an infiltrated group of girls and women who are watching, not only for the musical rah-rah of it all, but for other things that are going to catch their eye without them knowing. And they see it as normalcy. Let's go. I'm here for it. So sorry if that was more than 15 seconds.
No,
but
that was great.
I love that.
Always have time for Taylor Swift on this podcast. No matter what. We can always talk Taylor.
I'm a Swiftie now. Because of that.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the club. I'm trying to go to
go from the Beehive to the Swifties. I'm like, I can be both. It's fine.
Yeah. I think there's massive crossover. The other benefit, I saw someone say this on Twitter about Taylor Swift, is like the NFL realizing, oh wait, like women like our product because women have been a huge part of the NFL fan base for like a long time, and we've known this. But like the marketing efforts towards women have been very we'll say hit or miss, and mostly miss. So I think now, hopefully Taylor's arrival, and hopefully, can she hang out for Travis? Can you make it work for like a season, man? Like eventually you're going to be a part of a song. Okay. You're going to mess this up. It's a 100% chance of failure.
Music video.
You're going to mess this up, but like, give us the season. So we have this for the entire NFL season. Expansion. How did I mention this? Travis Kelce thing. I don't know. But the point of expansion I want to talk about with this particular finals is you mentioned how this is the first finals with two former players as the head coaches. That's been such a huge push over the last, 5 to 7 years since I've been involved in the league, of like getting more coaches, getting more players in the coaching roles. Another big push has just been the immense popularity boom that we've talked about throughout the years of doing this podcast, and we've seen grow and grow, and this league continue to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
And at the center of all of that, at least for me, because I started watching really intently in like 2018, is Asia Wilson and Breanna Stewart. And that we finally have those two as fully formed professionals, fully healthy, not in a bubble, like in the finals, like ready to go. I feel like this is just a great, it's a kicking off, like it's a new chapter of the WNBA, where we're going to have expansion to allegedly, reportedly, San Francisco, and then allegedly kind of to, I don't even know if this is allegedly, it's just like random whispers. Portland is another place I've heard. So, as we expand, it just kind of like, it's crazy to see that expansion might actually be happening.
I love it.
After all the years we've talked about it.
We have, but I think, the numbers are off the charts, with viewership, the pre and post game, well, not the post game, but the pre-game show, being on ABC on Sunday afternoon and prime time on Wednesdays, I think has really been great leverage for the league. And Kathy Engelbert, I mean, she wants the best for the league, but she also wants it to be viable options and opportunities. So, you have the right investments. We saw what happened in Toronto in the preseason. It was a sellout there with 20,000 people in there. We've seen every other week numbers like through the off the charts, for these games that have been played this season. So I think there's an audience for it. I think there are new fans that are coming to the league because of what the league stands for and the unification of it all. I think there's girl power who is turning into women of force and fire, and it's really changing the game. And don't get me started, because I love it. And I think this series is going to be something that gains traction for this league, much like the 1996 Olympic gold medal team, who went through the trenches and sacrificed through those days of where they were overseas playing. That documentary, if you haven't seen it, is fantastic. But that tells the story. But I think this is like the next launch point, right? There's been incremental growth and exponentially so over the course of the 27, 28 years of the league. But now, with expansion, we're seeing hope for extended expansion. But I think this series with two players who have played in the league previously, coaching against one another now, I mean, I think that just tells the storybook of it all. And I think the league is ready. I think fans are more than ready. Especially back in the Bay. Sacramento had a team that was great, won a championship in 2005. There are people who are waiting for a team to go back to Houston. Beyonce, call me, girl. But I mean, there's so many great things on the horizon for this league. And this is just another one of those points of growth, right? This series and these expansions, just another jumping off point for this league to continue to grow. And I'm just so here for it. Like, I can't even tell you how thrilled I am to see all these tweets and all these notifications pop up, and they're like, WNBA needs to expand, and then the WNBA responds back, heard you. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm sending eyeball emojis, like, oh, what are we doing? It's exciting. And
it's extremely exciting. It's extremely exciting.
Boom, boom, boom.
And I've been dying to go to Portland. Although I do not like their men's basketball team at the moment, but that's neither here nor there. But like Portland,
Jimmy Butler's hair, that's the other thing. But go ahead.
Jimmy Butler's hair, I'm very emo about it. But let me see. Actually, no, I don't have my cards up. I do have my cards at home.
Get them.
We're gonna find it.
Get it.
I was gonna say, like, the Portland Fire had a great logo, great history. That'd be great if they go back to Portland. That one has not been as ballyhooed. I think you've seen and I've seen the tweets about there potentially being an announcement as soon as October 5th, which is tomorrow, which I don't know if that's going to be in the past, present, or future for you. Yeah. That there will be an announcement that they're going back to
Portland Fire, right?
I mean, I'm sorry, that they're going to San Francisco. And there was that report earlier that they had that the Warriors had bought the team, right? Had bought the rights to a team.
That's what I saw. Saw that.
So looks like that's going to be what we're doing.
Gonna be the deal.
Oh man,
I love
Gabe,
it.
where is this card? This is a cool one though.
Oh, look at that. Wait, skew it down because there's a little glare on it. Like, there we go. Oh, look at you.
Benajolania.
Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, come on, Gabe. There it is.
Talk to me, Gabe. Talk to me, Gabe. Oh, look at that.
There we go. So let's hopefully bring back the Portland Fire as well. I'm a big fan of the logo. Big fan of Jackie Styles. Oh, no, Christy.
I know. Somebody's calling me, Chad.
Well, you know, that's about as good of a time as any to call it quits.
Yeah, no, but oh my gosh, what a great conversation though. Oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, you got to put those votes up because that was a phenomenal question that I'm still spinning in my head, even though I gave an answer for a change. But we have to definitely do that. So are we bumping out? Are we bumping out for tonight? We're good? All right. Hey. It's been a marvelous conversation. You know, I always love chopping it up with you, my friend. Look at Gabe over there preaching tonight, too. He was preaching. I love it. Hey, look, the finals are coming up on Sunday at 3:00 on ABC. So make sure you guys tune in and watch that. But we'll be bringing you updates throughout the series. It's a 5-game series. And every 3 days they're going to be playing. So it's going to be a lot of fun to chop it back up with you guys after a couple games in to see if our prognostications come true. But anyway, we don't have to go home, but we got to get up out of here. So for Gabe Ibrahim, I'm Christy Winters-Scott. Join us next time right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network for Courtside with Christy and Gabe. We'll see you next time.